Ha ha ha! Can everybody hear me? We are live action. I apologize in advance for this voice. It's been a day. I had a couple strange encounters with parents, and I'm like, how does this all happen in one day? And so my voice is a little hoarse because I had to use my dad voice on some of the parents, like, hey, recognize, like, give them some of that. So my voice is a little rough, but we're gonna go at it today. We're gonna talk about low pre-med GPA. So this is your first time joining us, guys. I am Dr. Pinesett. I'm the study doc. And here, it's all about making you more positive, more productive, helping you become better student, better pre-med. Today, we're talking pre-med stuff. In particular, we're talking about low GPA, GPA repair, because I get lots of questions about it. This is an interactive session. That's why we are live action. And so here's how the format's going to go from now on. If you guys come, if you take time out of your week and you join me live on YouTube on Wednesdays, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm going to reward you guys and give you guys free coaching. So here's how it's going to flow. We're going to start off. We are going to be me talking about an aspect of a topic. So today we're talking about low GPA. I'm talking about the one big mistake that a lot of students make that is catastrophic to their candidacy to medical school. So we're going to talk about that. And then after that, I'm going to open it up and I'm going to allow you guys who hang out with me, who participate, to ask questions and put questions all about whatever that day's topic is in the box. So today, our topic is low pre-med GPA. So if you have any questions about GPA repair, low GPA, what it means, what's going on, whatever you have questions about, put the questions in the comment box and I will answer your questions, okay? So if you guys are excited, if you guys want to learn about this topic, if you guys want to be able to ask me questions, like this video right now. Let me know that you guys appreciate me taking the time. My voice is scratchy and rough and I don't have no drink of water, nothing. Let me know you guys appreciate me being here and we're gonna get at it. So we're gonna hit the intro and then we're gonna get at it. We're gonna teach, we're gonna learn today, we're gonna get better. Let's move forward, y'all. What I teach you guys is transformation. If you didn't dominate, changes need to be made. So I give you guys entire systems that make you new. But stop making excuses, stop whining, stop, right? Get at it. No excuses, just dominate. All right. We are back. We are back. I gotta make sure we all right here. Okay, so guys, recognize, like I said, I'm Dr. Pinesett. We are live action. My website, if you don't know, is thestudydoc.com. I am at the Study Doc across social media. You have found me here on my YouTube channel. Maybe listen to this on the aftermath on the podcast. I know I've been a little behind uploading podcast episodes, but this new season is coming. I got some great interviews, all kind of cool stuff for you guys. So make sure you guys check the podcast out. It's the Study Doc Show. And so today we're talking low pre-med GPA. So you're pre-med. You have a low GPA. What should you do? And as we talk about this topic, this is going to be one of those topics that a lot of people are going to tune in for because it is truly and sadly the biggest question mark pre-meds have across the board. And the reason it's the biggest question mark pre-meds have across the board is it's the biggest barrier, despite what you're told, the biggest barrier to medical school admitted status is your GPA. And it's the problematic GPA because for so many of us as young people, and I was having this discussion, with an attending physician, a fellow attending physician, who has worked on admissions committees. And we were having a debate and we were talking about low pre-med GPAs. And we were talking about the fact that I was saying, from my experience, that students who start off slow, it can happen to us, right? We're not taking it seriously. We haven't learned how to study yet. We haven't learned how to manage our time yet. We're just excited to be in college and so forth. We can make mistakes. We can slip up and we can damage our GPA. And I was like, yeah, you can always come back from that. And their argument was when they were on the admissions committee, they really valued all the grades and not just that upward trend. They weren't really with that program because they felt like if you're a student and you're becoming a doctor and how serious the profession of being a physician is, it's very serious. And so their argument was if you're the type of person who gets to college and you don't take college serious from moment one, then you aren't the type of person who's going to be serious enough to be a physician. And I was like, well, that's terrible, terrible, bad logic because, right, we all mature, we all learn, we all grow, and so forth. And so to say that people like can only be great doctors because doctors are a serious profession if they were serious from day one is kind of... Hold on one second, guys. Okay, someone's coming in my house here all of a sudden. What's going on? going on? Oh, yes, working.
Just here to spray the vegetation for the skills.
Oh, yeah, perfect. Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Any issues that need to be?
No. Thank you. People trying to come and sell stuff to me on the live stream. Is that okay? I'm sorry, y'all. I had to step away for a second. I was like, wait a minute, someone's ringing my doorbell, somebody's knocking on my door, someone's talking to me through the intercom thing. I had to figure out what was happening, make sure my perimeter was safe, make sure no one was invading this territory. You know what I'm saying? Had to look buff for a second. What's going on? What's the problem? What's going on here? All right, so anyway, so as we were just talking about, I was having this debate with this attending about the seriousness of students. And so the reason I bring this debate up is that for a lot of you guys as students, so many students come to me with GPA problems. And it's because for a lot of us, we think we're great. We think we're hot-ish, right? We do great in high school. We get the AP classes going, right? We rock it. We're a big fish in a small pond. And then we go to university and we're forced to have to study independently. We're forced to have to manage our own time in an environment where there's tons of distractions. And for some of us, it gets us, right? The glittery glam of college gets us, and we take our eyes off the ball for a second, and we don't do as good as we're supposed to do or as good as we're capable of doing, and we botch our GPA early. Additionally, the flip side of that is some of us take it seriously, but we don't have the skills to get at it early on, right, in college. And for me, I was a mix of both in the sense that I was not a great student. I didn't have the skill set to do well, and that was worsened, right? The problem was compounded by the fact that I was distracted. I was excited to be there. I was like thrilled to be like, oh my gosh, I'm in college, got all these new friends, I'm staying in the dorm, what a great experience. And so I was so busy going to things and being social that I didn't actually get at my GPA. And so for a lot of students, that low GPA is the anchor holding down their application. And the reason it's so problematic to have a low GPA is because the low GPA is one of the hardest red flags or concerns that medical schools can have. It's one of the hardest to fix because it takes time, right? A GPA is an average. It takes time to create that low GPA. And so therefore it takes lots of time to fix that GPA. And so if you've gotten to the situation where you are pre-med, you're at some stage in your career, and your GPA is low, it's one of those things like, dang, I messed up big time, because there's a lot of work that goes in to actually fix it. Yes? And what you'll find is the work to fix that GPA is expensive, it's time consuming, it's stressful, and so forth. And so when things are like that, when we look at these things, we look at price tags and we look at all the stress that comes around it, we make poor decisions. And one of the worst decisions students can make when it comes to GPA repair is that they write off their college career. Hear me and hear me now. I get this all the time from students. Hey, Dr. Pinesett, I'm a junior in college. Hey, Dr. Pinesett, I'm a sophomore in college, and my GPA sucks, so I'm thinking about post-bac programs. And what we fail to recognize and doesn't trigger in our brains is we incorrectly associate, fixed GPA, post-bac, special master's program, PhD even. I've seen students do that, like all these things. And we neglect the fact that we still have time in our undergraduate careers. And so the number one mistake that students make in terms of GPA repair is thinking they can't repair it until after they graduate. And this is so important because if you do that, you are missing out on a tremendous opportunity you have to fix your GPA in a very streamlined capacity. Meaning, if you are still at your university, you shouldn't be looking to graduate and then move on and repair the GPA. Instead, guys, the trick, the nuance here, is that you should actually try to stay at your home university and remain an undergrad student as long as humanly possible. If you guys ever seen the movie Higher Learning, you should be a super duper senior at your college. Why? So why would it be a good idea if you have a low GPA to stay at your college instead of graduating? Right? So many students are in a rush. I'm going to graduate, I'm going to go fix it. Why should you stay at your college and fix your GPA? Why is that advantageous, y'all? Why is it a mistake to graduate college and try to go for a post-bac and so forth? Thank you for liking the video. I see you guys all here showing up. I appreciate y'all on here live with me, live action. Okay, I'm glad this is perfect timing for some people. I'm glad I'm hitting some notes for some people. If I'm talking to you right now, if this is you, if already you feel like, oh wait, I'm getting something out of this, I'm being able to frame where I'm at, let me know. Okay, I love it. Farida's talking about this because seeing perfect. All right, so let's run the list of why you should stay at your undergrad. You ready? Okay. Number one, the biggest reason you should stay at your undergrad instead of graduating is finances. Unless you go to an expensive private school, it will be cheaper for you to do your GPA repair at your current university than it will be to do it at extension or for you to do it in a post-bac program. It will be cheaper for you. So for a lot of you guys as students, you are financially strapped. And so it is a bad financial decision to graduate and then try to find ways to fix your GPA. Instead, stay at your undergraduate university, right? That is relatively cheap per unit. You also have financial aid infrastructure there that is favorable. So it's the weirdest thing, the way our education system works in the US. The interest rate goes up the higher level of education you go to. So it's weird. In undergrad, you're like, oh man, these interest rates are terrible. But then you go to graduate school and the interest rate gets higher and the terms get worse. And then you go to medical school and you're like, golly, what's up with the interest rates? It's crazy. And the reason in their psychology, if you look it up, their psychology for doing this and increasing interest rates is that, hey, the more education you get, the more earning potential you have, and therefore you'll be able to pay it back. And so for us loaning you this money, giving you the opportunity to earn more money over your career, we're going to charge you more interest for it. And I think that's ridiculous and piss poor and backwards in my opinion, because why are you penalizing students who want to better themselves through education? And for many students who don't come from a background of financial wealth, from a background of educational prosperity, education is a route, a conduit for them to attain a better life, for them to create a better life for those around them, and for them to uplift their community. And so when we add those interest rates, we are actually sabotaging these students who would be on the come up because they need more than that bachelor's degree to get ahead and to move forward. Does that make sense? So it is cheaper for you loan-wise to stay at your undergrad institution. Okay, that's the first thing. The second reason it's better to stay at your undergrad institution, and I see some people talking about here in the box, is that you already know it's familiarity of this environment and navigate the ability to navigate that environment. You know who the key players are. You know where things are. You know what's going on. You have resources, support, and so forth. So having all that stuff makes it much more likely you'll be successful in that environment, as opposed to going to some extension program where you have no support, you aren't near campus, you don't know what's going on, you have no friends who've taken this program, and so therefore you're at a loss, and it makes it challenging for you to be able to get at all the things that you need to get done. So it's a much more challenging environment where you don't have the support that you would normally have. The third reason staying at your undergrad is a great solution for improving your GPA is that you've already spent a bunch of time at this university, and therefore you've accrued units, and units are stature. So your standing is higher, your junior standing, senior standing, whatever. Therefore, you will get first crack at enrollment. And one of the holes I see a lot of students who try to do DIY postbacks, right? Try to graduate and then just go take classes at extension, community college, whatever, blah, blah. One of the problems they have is that they can't get the classes they want. Why? Because they're going into a place with no units at that place. So you're at the bottom of the enrollment ladder. Additionally, other universities, extension and so forth, have limited schedules because they're not designed to be full-time institutions. They're not designed for pre-meds who need high-level, right, science courses and so forth, because they've already taken a bunch of science courses to fix that GPA. But if you can stay at your university, you have all the capabilities to be able to enroll early, get the classes you want, take a plethora of classes, you have a wide catalog, and then also to stack those units up to move faster through your journey. Right? And this is so important because time is money. And if you guys pay attention to me, you listen to me, one of the things, and I just saw there was a big article, I don't know if you guys saw it today, it was in either the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal, and it was talking about how we have a financial literacy crisis in America and how so many people, young people, are not taught by their parents financial literacy, and then are not taught financial literacy by their universities and so forth. At no point are people taught about finances. And one of the things I'm always stressing with you guys is, especially if you come from a background where you don't have anything to fall back on, where you don't have an inheritance, you don't have, right? You have to make your wealth. You have to create your fortune, right? You have to get financially competent. You have to make financially sound decisions for your future. Even in medicine, particularly in medicine. Because how many of you guys, right? Like if we can comment in the box right now, right? We're live action. Hello guys, we're live action. Comment in the box. Are you a first generation student? Are you a student who's not first generation, but you are financially strapped right now in college? You worry. How many of you guys worry on a daily, on a weekly basis about how you're going to finance your education, how you're going to finance $100,000 a year for medical school. How many of you guys worry about those things? Melanie says yes. Maureen, thank you for saying I rock. I feel like I rock. Thank you so much. So if you guys are just jumping on, we are talking low pre-med GPA repair. I'm going to talk for a little bit about this, and then I'm going to open it up for you guys to ask questions on my YouTube channel. So if you are not to my YouTube channel, get to my YouTube channel so you can ask me questions and get your questions answered, right? And I see it. I love this right here. Literally working 3 jobs. Yes, first generation. Yes, worrying about it daily. Yes, worrying about it weekly. Yes, worrying about it. Yes, 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 yes. We worry about money. So my whole thing is if you're worrying about money, it's very important. If you're financially strapped, it's hard enough. You have a very thin wire you have to walk to get through medical education because becoming a doctor is a rich man's game. And no one wants to admit that, but that's the reality, is that it's made for rich people who can delay getting paid for 10 years and go through medical school and residency, rack up debt and blah, blah, get parents can pay for it, so forth. So if you're broke, you've got to make very critical financial decisions. And one of the most important financial decisions you can make is getting through medical school and medical education as fast as functionally possible. So we don't want to rush, but we don't want to waste time for no reason. Because every year that you spend trying to become a doctor is a year you've lost earning doctor money. Does everybody understand what I'm saying right now? And I did a video a while back, and I'll do another one to refresh it for you guys. But the cost-benefit analysis of a year of doctoring versus a year of you putting around doing whatever is huge over the length of your lifetime. And if you stack together 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 of those years, all that lost income is money you'll never see back, and you're digging yourself in a bigger hole. And so what I see some students do is not think about the efficiency of repairing their GPA. Hey, I'm just going to repair my GPA. However long it takes, it takes. And while that seems like a good sentiment, it's actually not. It's actually a backward sentiment. It's like people who say, I'll study, I'll sit in this book as long as it takes to learn. Nah, I don't want to be in my book as long as possible. I want to be in my book for as short amount as possible to get the most out of it. Does that make sense? And it's the same with your education. With your GPA repair, you want to be efficient, lickety split. And so I see too many students who are like, okay, listen, I'm going to work this job. I'm going to take 1 class a term for eternity for 7 years, and then I'm going to apply. And in their minds, they're thinking, oh, this allows me not to take out loans. Oh, this allows me to save up some money for medical school. But they're not doing the math because your part-time $20 an hour job is nothing compared to what you would make as a physician. And so if you were really thinking about it, you would be like, no, how can I quickly get my GPA to that point? And right, we want to take as many classes as we can to get that GPA up. And not only is that efficient in terms of time, right, but it's also efficient in terms of admissions for medical school. Because one of the things that students mess up on, I hope this is someone's hearing this right now who's on this wrong path. When you go to do GPA repair, medical schools look at your GPA in a lot of different slices, okay? And I break this down. I have a coaching program called Dominate Premed Coaching Program. I break it all down in my course, and in our coaching, we talk about this. So every week we go through, and we have a student, we walk down their profile, and we walk through all the different ways that medical schools look at your GPA. One of the things that medical schools look at with your GPA is an escalation of workload, meaning it's okay to take a couple units early on in your career. But as you go through your career, they're going to want to see you stack massive amounts of courses into a single term. The reason they want to see you do that is because medical school is the fire hose, right? So if you've never taken 2 or 3 science classes in one term, how can you hang in medical school when you're taking 4 science classes on steroids, I guess you could say, in medical school? So they want to see you stack classes together. So if you're doing GPA repair and your academic record is questionable, taking 1 course every single term and getting A's is not going to look as good as someone who took 3 or 4 classes every single term and got A's to repair their GPA. Does that make sense to everybody? I know that was a tangent, but this is an important point that you guys have to understand the difference of, right? So people talk about all these different things, but one of the things that's overlooked is your workload, is the density of the classes you're taking. And if we can increase the density of the classes we're taking, right? Mike, who's one of my students, is taking 5 right now. right? If we can increase the density of our classes, it makes us not only more efficient financially, efficiently time-wise, you want to start a family, whatever you want to do, but it also makes you much more efficient in an admission standpoint because now you're going to look more competitive. You're going to look like a stronger academic student than the student who took one class every term for 10 years. So if you're at your undergraduate, if you don't graduate, your ability to take heavy loads is better. What people fail to recognize until it's too late as they graduate is that if you want to take heavy course loads, particularly heavy science loads, you are extremely limited outside of your undergrad institution. So when you go to do extension, extension has limits on how many classes you can take every term. You guys know this, right? When you go to community college, they only offer so many courses every term because they want to space it out. They're not used to people trying to get through quickly. And so your selection is going to be very limited. It's going to slow you down. The other alternative once you graduate to be efficient is a post-bac program. But as I talked about, like I did a video right a couple months ago about post-bac programs. Post-bac programs are expensive. So even though they're efficient, you're paying for that efficiency. You're paying top dollar and more than what you pay at your undergrad institution. Does that make sense to everybody? Now, for the bonus points, I saw someone mention it earlier in the box. One of the problems with trying to stay at your undergraduate institution is that the institution doesn't want you to stay there longer. So this is a very important discussion point. Everybody ready? There's a huge difference between what's recommended and what you should do and what you can do. Yes, yes? A lot of times premeds take recommended advice from someone who's recommending this advice, not in their best interest, but in the best interest of the school. When you go to your counselor and you say, listen, my GPA is low, I need to repair it, and they say, okay, yeah, but you can't stay here longer, you got to graduate. You know, this is your time to graduate right here. What they're looking at is getting you through and getting you out. They're not thinking about all the considerations we just talked about for building your career and your future. And so when they say, oh, no, you have to leave this December, you don't ever have to leave a university. There's all sorts of clever ways to extend your undergraduate time. One of the easiest ways is to change your major. So if you change your major, you have to be able to stay there to finish that major and that major's requirements. So if you switch to a major that has a bunch of requirements, it gives you a lot of extra time in your track record to take other courses. And in addition to taking your core courses for the new major, you can also take additional courses to build that GPA. So there's all sorts of ways to get around that loophole to be able to stay in college longer, but you got to be of a mind of, oh wait, they want to kick me out because they want to get me out of here and have somebody come else in here. But there's no law, there's no rule against you staying there for 20 years. You just got to be very crafty and clever and work the system and work around the recommendations to do what's right for you and your career. Yes, yes? Okay, I'm glad, Melanie, I just answered your question. Okay. Yes? Okay. That is so important, guys. So the number one mistake that students make when it comes to GPA repair is forgetting that they can change their GPA while you're still an undergrad. You don't have to wait, oh, I'm just going to go through, I'm just going to power through, finish my undergrad, and then I'm going to work on it. No, finish it, fix it now. If you're about to graduate, stay. Don't graduate. Keep going. Get that GPA fixed at your undergrad if you can. Do the cost analysis of it. But at most universities, it works out being cheaper to stay at your university. It's cheaper, it's more flexible, it's more likely to succeed, and so forth. Okay? I'm going to open it up to questions, guys. So if you're on my YouTube channel, we are live action right now. It's Dr. Pinesett. We're talking low GPA. If you have a question about low GPAs, put it in the boxes. We're gonna coach here a little bit, okay? But as I say that, okay, I want to also point out that another major mistake that students make when it comes to GPA repair is they think the solution to repairing a GPA is simply to take more classes. But you took lots of classes, you got bad grades, and the missing component was your ability to study, your ability to focus, your ability to get the job done, your ability to have a lifestyle that has obligations that aren't so overwhelming that pull you out of your studying. So one of the things you hear a lot from disadvantaged students is, well, listen, I had to work, I had family, I blah, blah, blah. Well, if you don't take care of your financial situation, if you don't take care of your family situation, If you don't take care of your housing, then how are you going to be a different student, a better student to get different and better grades? So what happens a lot of times is students are not great students, whether it's their fault or it's because of things around them. And before they address themselves or the things around them, they just start taking more courses. And all they do now is they take what was a 50 unit whole and they make it a 150 unit whole. So now you have 50 units at 2.5. Now all of a sudden you've turned around because you're just going through it and you got 150 units at 2.5, which means you got to take even more classes to fix it. So take the time, organize yourself, get your life in order, learn how to study, learn how to be an effective student, and then tackle the classes. Take a step back to take some steps forward. Okay? And one of the best ways to learn how to study is with my programs, guys, on my website, thestudydoc.com. I have links below in the box for you guys to get at some of that stuff. So check out the resources, check out my website, learn how to study, get better, get your GPA fixed, and let's go on. Let's get great. Let's go into medical school. Okay? So that's all I have to say about that today. Now it's time for you guys to get some questions answered. So we're going to go just to YouTube now. I'm going to get rid of these Instagrammers. These Instagrammers. They can't hang with us, right? This is just us. All right, so I'm going to answer you guys' questions. I appreciate y'all being here. Going forward, I'm going to actually pull the entire, all the comment section on the screen to make it nice and easy for us. But not today, but I'm going to be doing that. So let me scroll back up here to the top. I appreciate you guys all for being here. If you guys enjoyed this first part, this lecture, and you're excited for some Q&A, make sure if you're here, you like this video right now. Let me know you guys are ready and you guys want some more teaching right now. Guys, we're at 26 minutes. Let me know to keep going. Utham, what up? One tall girl. Mike is here. What up? What up? Red Robin here. Yeah, and I love this comment. I'm going to pull this up on the screen. Okay, let me see here. I really like this. That makes it smaller. I'm trying to play with it right here. Don't let a low pre-med GPA hold you back from getting A's in the hard classes you're currently enrolled in. And I really like this sentiment, Red Robin. I appreciate you saying that. And that, again, it's so interesting. I hear all these stories from these influencers, right, who are like, oh, yeah, the reason I'm at XYZ school or the reason I'm not in medical school is because I had a bad freshman year. And the reality and the truth is anyone who tells you that one bad year cost them medical school is lying to you. Because one bad year, if GPA is an average, all it would take is one good year to offset that. All it would take is 2 good years to erase that. All it would take is 3 good years to make it like it never existed, right? And so for all of you guys, if you've had a bad track record, if you perform poorly in the classroom, if your GPA is not where you want it, if you've botched previous research experiences, if you've botched previous clinical shadowing experiences, the key is to shake it the heck off, refocus in on the tasks currently at hand, and tackle those. And so for a lot of you guys, you let your past class failures turn into continual future, chronic student issues. And the students who are successful, who come back from their low GPAs, the students like me, learn to shake that stuff off and recognize that I'm not my low GPA. And so I want all of you guys here who are low GPA students to this day, right here, right now, say, listen, I am not my low GPA. That's the old me. I don't even know that person anymore. I'm prepared now. I'm committed now to becoming a new and better student. I'm prepared now to put the work in. I'm prepared now to be focused. I'm prepared to get my life in order, right? To figure out my financial situation, to figure out my familial situation, to figure out all the things in my life that are keeping me from being great. I commit to that. I'm going to be different. And now we're going to go forth carrying out different actions and being different. So shed that off, guys. Say, I am not my GPA. I'm better than that. Okay? So thank you, Red Robin, for your comment. So the question is, does MSAR provide a realistic idea of what a high and low GPA is for both specific schools and med school acceptance in general? So if you guys have ever seen any of my videos, on GPA and AMCAS and stuff, you guys will know that I always talk about those numbers being inflated. And so it's very important to recognize that this day and age, medical school admissions is very competitive. So I love the movie. He's Just Not That Into You. I don't know if you guys who's ever seen this movie. He's Just Not That Into You. Justin Long is in it. I like him. There's a bunch of other people in it. Drew Barrymore's in it. And the whole premise of the movie, He's Just Not That Into You, is to recognize that in life and in relationships, we often look at ourselves as the exception. Like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I met him when he was cheating on his girlfriend, but now we're something special. He would never cheat on me. So we often go through situations in our lives where we think, oh, we're the exception, not the rule. But the fact, right, the rule of life is that we are not most often the exception. Rarely are we the exception. Most often we are the rule. And when it comes to medical school admissions, there's always going to be one person in a forum who's going to be able to tell you that you can get in with your 2.5 GPA. There's always going to be someone on some forum who's like, oh yeah, I got a cousin who knows somebody who they got into Harvard with a 2.9 GPA. But the truth is, even if that's true, that's the exception. And we have to think of ourselves as the rule. And so when it comes to medical school admissions and you guys in GPA targets, you should be trying to get your GPA as high as humanly possible. Because the higher your GPA is, the more competitive your GPA is, the more competitive your candidacy will be, and the more options you will have to get into medical school. People often say, oh, listen, 3.0 is the cutoff, so I got to get to 3.0 and then I'm good. No, 3.0 is the minimum. And when it comes to low GPAs, we have to understand if your GPA was low way back in the day, really what you're banking on in terms of getting into medical school is that they ignore that early stuff. And the way we get them to ignore and overlook and minimize all that stuff you did in the past is to show a strong recent track record of success. Meaning your trend has to be vroom, amazing, A's, 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 A's. Additionally, the overall number, if you can get the overall number up, it makes a big difference. Because the difference for your chances, and you guys can look at this, right? Everyone does these GPA calculators and what are my chances calculators, and it's a big waste because the AAMC literally gives you the table. If you're taking the MCAT, you should be able to read a table, X and Y axis. Here's the MCAT, here's the GPA, go down here, and what's the percentage accepted? And if you look at the different rungs of GPA, 3.0, 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, every single time you bump up, the percentage chance of accepted is much higher. So for all of you guys thinking like, oh, 3.0, 3.1 is not a big difference, it's a huge difference. 3.4, 3.5 is not a big difference, it is a big difference, and so forth, right? So all of these things make a difference, and so we want to get our GPA up as high as possible to be competitive. In terms of the MSAR range, I say all that to say, what I'm setting up here is that when it comes to, give me 1 second here. It's too hot in here. All right, everybody still with me? It's a Q&A about low GPA. Now's the time, guys. Put them in the box and let's talk about it, okay? Let's talk about it. Give me 1 second here. Okay, let's see here. Everybody still with me? Everyone wants to learn tonight? Let's make sure we are going. Okay, all right. So, like I was saying, so I say all that to say, so for the MSAR data, when it comes to applying to medical school, you can't just say, oh, listen, I'm like the lowest number they accept and I'm going to be good. What you want to look at when you guys go to apply to medical school is you're going to apply, and everyone says this, right? And they try to make it like so complicated. It's simple. When you apply to medical school, you want to apply to some schools where their GPA and their MCAT are out of your league. That's a reach. You want to apply to some schools where you're in the range. Those are your kind of like, okay, this should be a good chance, up or down, coin flip. Then you want to apply to safety schools where you're well above the mean. Okay, so when you're looking at that in terms of acceptance rates, you guys want to get as high as possible and recognize you don't need a 3.7 to get into medical school. You don't even need a 3.5 to get into medical school. But if you have a 3.5, if you have a 3.7, dang, it sure does help your chances. So does that make sense with them? Does that make sense? Did I answer your question there? Oh, I like this question. Xanther, great question. Says, is there, for you guys who are just joining us, we are talking low pre-med GPAs and doing GPA repair right now on my YouTube channel at the Study Doc. You guys can come on here, ask me any questions, and I'll answer any questions you guys have. Xanther says, is there any way to get past being auto-disqualified by the computer if you apply and have a great upward trend, but still overall low GPA? For example, if you have a 2.1 undergrad, but it's 3.7 in an informal postbac. And so this is a great question, Xanther. I appreciate that. So if you guys don't recognize this, the early stages of the medical school admissions process when you submit to AMCAS are done vary by the numbers. And the reason this happens is because medical schools have very few application reviewers. And there are, of course, many of you guys who want to go to medical school. And so as a result, that mismatch creates the necessity to streamline the process and to automate parts of the process. And part of that automation that's easy to automate is the numbers. So it's easy to train a computer. It's easy to train a layperson who's not an admissions aficionado to say, hey, if they're below this GPA or below this MCAT, we don't want them. Okay, that's an easy thing to do. And so what Xanther's talking about is that early period of disqualifying applications. How do I make sure I'm not one of those people who's weeded out early on in the process? So in this case, a 2.1 over undergrad GPA, but a 3.7 in your informal postbac, which would probably put your GPA probably around 2.5-ish, whatever. So congrats to you, Xanther, for getting into, or actually, so you get informal postbac, so you did it yourself. So Xanther finished undergrad, 2.1 GPA. After that undergrad, he said, I'm gonna get to work, I'm gonna improve this GPA, and he's done a stellar job by getting a 3.7 GPA after his undergrad. So now he's like, okay, wait, how are medical schools gonna look at that? Well, the sad thing, Xanther, and I'm sorry to say this, is that if your undergrad GPA is 2.1 and your informal postbac is 3.7, depending on how long you were in your informal postbac, I'm assuming your undergrad is 4 years, your informal postbac is probably like 2 years, probably 2 years of classes, a lot of people do, that informal is less units than your undergrad. So if we take 3.7 and we average it with 2.1, even if we say that it's just slightly heavier, okay? So the difference between 3.7 and 2.1 is 1.6, so we'll go up 0.8. So that means your cumulative GPA at best is 2.8. In reality, it's lower than that, right? But we can say it's 2.8. If you go to MSAR, right, if you go to the AAMC data, you can look and you can see what your acceptance chances are with a 2.8, 2.9 GPA, and you'll see they're very tiny. And so for you, Xanther, what I would actually advise is you've now learned how to study. You've gotten some great coursework down. You've improved your GPA tremendously. Now it's time for you to start thinking about a formal postbac program or a special master's program to concretize and solidify that GPA. Because even though, right, you've done a great job since then, it's going to be hard for you to get past the initial cutoffs. And the reason with a 2.1 undergrad GPA that you don't go straight into a formal postbac is that you don't qualify for most postbac programs, because formal postbac programs want students to go from their program into medical school. And they know if you have a 2.1 GPA and you take 1 or 2 years worth of courses, your GPA is simply not going to be high enough for most cutoffs for you to have a real shot of getting into medical school. And so, Xanther, my answer to you is take more classes. You'd be better served, right, more efficiently, because you're probably running out of units, right, or things you can take, to do a formal postbac. Because a formal postbac is viewed differently by medical schools than an informal postbac. True, but it's very costly. And so when you have a lot of grades to make up, a formal postbac program can be a great opportunity. And so, Xanther, that's what I would recommend for you. Did I answer that question? Are you guys still with me? Can you like this video if you're sitting on here? Are we live action? Can you comment? Let me know. I'm running through questions right now, answering y'all questions. We are on my YouTube channel. We are live action, y'all. This is the Study Doc Show. We are talking low pre-med GPA. If you have a question about low pre-med GPA, I want you to put it in the comment box so I know you have that question, so I can answer said question, so you can leave here, right, feeling clearer about where you are and where you need to go to get into medical school. So we are on my YouTube channel. Get there right now. Let's go. You're absolutely right. I'll get somebody to fade, you know. Yes. Okay. So I don't know if I can reply to this. Yes, you can come to my house from Boston. I know you. You can come to my house. Yeah, send me an email. Come to my house. Yeah, come hang out. If I know you, you can come hang out. You can come shadow. If I don't know you, you can't come. I'll save you the time. Mike said they probably didn't focus on neuroanatomy and medical school. Blah blah. Let's see here. I apologize, guys. I am strolling through comments right now. If you have a question, put in the box below. We're going to get to all these questions here. Okay. So Andrew asked the question, doesn't retaking courses in undergrad affect your med school GPA? So what you're talking about is your pre-med GPA for med schools. Wow, this person said they ran into me in 2018 for my videos. Yeah, I'm glad you found me on YouTube Lives back in 2018. We back, baby. We live every Wednesday, 5 p.m. on the YouTube channel. So make sure y'all come back. I'm glad. All right. So yes, if you take retaking courses in your undergrad does affect your med school GPA, but this is a very important thing. And actually, this literally just came up in Dominant Pre-Med Coaching the other day. We have a student who just joined our program, and they got some terrible advice from their advisor. They were a community college student who transferred to a university, and they had a couple classes that were questionable and not very strong at the community college. And so this counselor at the university essentially gave them a stock standard schedule of classes to take and had them retaking classes they had already passed. And they had passed with a C. And this counselor's reasoning to the student was, listen, you got a low grade in that, a C, that's only 2.0 like points. So retake it here, get the A, and that'll help you for medical school. But the problem with medical school and AMCAS, and that's why people say, oh, AMCAS is cheating me on my GPA, is that AMCAS doesn't allow you to do that. So when you have passed a class and then you retake it, AMCAS doesn't replace that grade. AMCAS doesn't, it's not the same. So the only classes, this is so important, if you want to impact your GPA, the only classes you should be retaking are classes that you failed. If you failed the class, you got an F, a D, a C, right? A D plus. If you got those low grades, you fail the class, then you can retake it. And that will impact and improve your AMCAS GPA. But if you pass the class, don't retake it. Take something new and get the A. Thank you guys again for being here. We are live action. I'm scrolling through comments right now. So if you have a question, put it down here. I'm glad. Yes. Yes. Okay, people benefit and learning. I love it. You can see my kids have arrived. They're whistling outside my door right here, messing around. So Word Up says, can anyone say what a low GPA actually is? So what is a low GPA, right? So this is the question. What is a low GPA? And this question is again it's a loaded question and it's empty. What is a low GPA? What is a high GPA? It's all relative. When people say that medical school admissions is holistic, it truly is, right? At the end of the game. But up front, you have to have the numbers. And so what a low GPA is and what we're talking about is an uncompetitive GPA. And so the way I like to think about numbers in terms of your medical admissions, whether it's your MCAT or your GPA, is that the higher your GPA is, the higher your MCAT is, it increases the likelihood you will get in because it opens the door to more universities considering you. Because many schools have like their rough-ish cutoffs. And so if you're not at those cutoffs, those schools don't consider you. So the higher you get it, the more cutoffs you're going to hit. And so it's like gambling. If you guys ever played roulette, you got all the numbers, right? You can bet on black, you can bet on red, or all the numbers. The higher you get your GPA, the more numbers essentially you get to bet on the roulette board. You get to have black number 7, black number 8, black number 9. So it increases your likelihood of getting in. So the higher you get that GPA, the better. A low GPA, an unacceptable GPA, and again, yes, you can get in with this GPA, but that would be the exception, not the rule, is if your GPA is below 3.0, your chances of getting into medical school are very low. So that is a low GPA. If your GPA is below 3.3, that is also considered a very shaky, questionable GPA. Now, I'm saying this as a general term. Again, there's nuance to this. This is why, right, I do pre-med coaching every week with my students. This is why I have courses, right? Because there's nuance to this. There's a lot of different ways to look at it. But if your GPA is like 3.2, you're going to find it difficult to meet most schools' cutoffs. So those schools are going to be closed to you. So your chances, right, of hitting are going to be lower. So get your GPA up high. I'd say 3.3 and above gives you an okay shot, not a great shot, right? If you can edge up close to that 3.5, that puts you in a better position. I'm glad, Lai, you feel like this is things they don't tell you. I appreciate it, right? I am the honesty broker when it comes to premeditated and student. So I'm always giving you guys the truth, my truth, the truth, based on the facts, not empty opinion, y'all. This is the truth. This is the reality of it. So I appreciate y'all being here. We are live action. We're going to be live action every Wednesday, 5 p.m. I will lecture on a topic, and then we will answer questions like we're doing now. So I hope you guys appreciate this. Hope you guys are enjoying this. I appreciate all you guys. Got a lot of eyeballs on here. I like it. Hanging out with me into the wee evening as my voice goes. And matter of fact, I want to call for some water. Water. I'll ask my wife to bring me some water. Hold on one second, guys. Hey, Shannon. Shannon, can I have a water, please? I had to beg for some water, guys. I came like straight from work, and it was a crazy day me using my voice at the hospital, and the parents was acting a fool. I had to get crazy on somebody trying to threaten me. I was like, "Nah, we're crazy." So now my voice is a little shot. So I apologize. Okay, Antonio, what up? Okay, so Marco asks, does taking some of your prereqs in community college to save money look bad on your application? So this is a question I get all the time, because community college is cheaper than university. It's cheaper than extension. It's cheaper than post-bac, cheaper than a master's. So can you take classes at community college? How do medical schools look at that? And again, that question is kind of misleading, because if you are a community college student, you went to community college before university, then the classes you take at community college are not frowned upon. They're totally fine. It's all good because that was your ladder to get there. On the flip side, if you are enrolled at a university and concurrently you take community college classes outside of that, medical schools don't like that because it looks like you're ducking and dodging university competition, university level tests to go take community college level stuff, which is easier. That's the facts. If you've graduated and now you're doing GPA repair and you go to a community college, it depends. So if the way I'd like to say this, right, it's all specifics. So if you are a student and your GPA is really, really low, like 2.1, you have a lot of repair work to do. So all you really care about is opening up yourself to getting lots of courses. And so to be able to have the money to do that, it actually is in your best interest to go do some community college coursework. It's cheap, max that out, go get that. Then after the community college, go do an informal post-bac. Go do another undergrad degree. Go do a formal post-bac if you can qualify, whatever you can do. But you'll need more units than that. So if you have a lot of repair to do, community college actually is not a bad thing to do to start that off, that process, but you need to take more than just those community college classes. If you're kind of borderline, a lot of people go community college because it's cheaper. But what I actually think you guys get more benefit from is doing something like extension, is doing something like staying at your university, because then you'll take university level classes. You're better off, instead of taking like, a couple community college classes here, a couple community college there, take one term, take 4 or 5 upper division science courses, get all A's in those, and then now you have a tipping point, final semester, crown jewel, exclamation mark, that shows them, in case you had doubts, I know I'm on the border, but bam, look how I ended this bad boy. Look at the cherry I just tossed on my GPA Sunday. That's what I would advise you guys to do. So if you can afford not to do community college courses, I think you'd be better served taking at the university, taking in a post-bac, taking an extension, so forth, that way. But if you can't, then do what you got to do to get through. And we all have different paths, right? So don't feel bad. You can get there being broke. You can get there going to community college, but it will be, like I said earlier, it'd be a more like kind of chaotic and a more difficult pathway, but you can still do it. Okay, but I would recommend looking at other options if you can do it first. Did I answer that thoroughly enough for you? Am I answering questions, y'all? Are y'all learning, or should I sign off? Should I sign off? Should I go away? Should I disappear? Are we learning? I'm glad this is making so much sense to you guys. I appreciate that. I appreciate that we learning. Yeah, Liz, any class you take and get an A in is a great idea. And this is the other thing. I guess this is the better question to Liz's question. Liz said, So taking organic chemistry, genetics, physics, and the labs and getting A's will be a good idea, of course. But the important thing when it comes to GPA repair, guys, is you have to understand mathematics. And not all of us, this is like one of the, again, I read a lot of educational literature, and one of the things we're talking about right now is that a lot of early education students, elementary school, middle school, a lot of high school students, right, with COVID, were doing distance learning. And as college students, right, who most of you guys are right now, you already know how difficult it is to distance learn. So imagine trying to distance learn when you are 12 years old, right? You're gonna be so distracted. It'll be crazy. And so what has happened is that so many students now are going back in person and they are lost mathematically because they don't have that foundation. And so this is why it gets difficult for some people to kind of understand the GPA and how it works. But the grade point average is an average. So this is so important to people. You must get A's if you're trying to repair your GPA. Anything less than an A is hurting your GPA. And you're like, wait, what do you mean? What do you mean? How can a B hurt my GPA? Listen to me. If we are to be real and recognize that 3.0 is very low when it comes to applying to medical school, and that you're better served being above 3.3. Yes? Right? We want to improve our GPA. If your GPA is currently 3.0, if you get a B, that's only worth 3.0. So it actually doesn't move your GPA up. All it does is anchor your GPA right where it is. If you get a B plus, that's 3.3. Well, 3.3 and 3.0 is still what? 3.15. So at best, if you took a whole bunch of classes and got B pluses, you'd only ever get to 3.15. If you get an A minus, that's 3.7. So that's a little bit better. But you got to get A minuses and A's because that's really what's going to lift your GPA. If you have a 3.5 GPA, every B plus lowers your GPA. So again, if you guys are doing GPA repair, recognize the goals, recognize the objectives, recognize what you must do, and have a plan to get it. So you must be getting A's. Without A's, you are not repairing your GPA. A's repair GPAs. B's are bad for your GPA. Does that make sense? Funny. Yeah, exactly. Extension be canceling classes left and right, and it's really funky. All right, if you guys are still with me right now, like the video, comment, let me know we still here. If you have a question, like I said, I'm answering questions. I'm taking the time to answer you guys' questions and give you guys this coaching. So take the time to get this. If you guys are enjoying this coaching and you want more of this, guys, get to my website. I have my Dominate Pre-Med coaching program. It's super affordable. It's an awesome program. I have a totally in-depth course that breaks all this stuff down, and you get to coach with me at regular intervals. You said coaching last night, so you guys can learn, ask questions, move forward, have plans for your success. Thank you guys for all these comments. There's so many comments saying, appreciative things. I appreciate that. Let me see these questions. Yeah, and I like that statement there that Antonio just said. And it's something that we have to recognize if we're going to be successful as people, that if we are to be successful, the most successful people in the world, right? I just went to a party, and at this party, I was sitting down with, and I won't mention him by name. You guys know him. He's a very famous doctor. He's on TV. He's on one of those shows, and he has a very successful chain of practices. And one of the things we were talking about is that, like, in order to be successful and at his pinnacle, right? And I'm always like, you guys know, I'm very knowledgeable, but I'm always trying to get better. And so I was picking his brain on some things, blah, blah, blah. And he was telling me how, like, yeah, he always stays up on things because he's actually a member, and I forgot the code name he used for his little group. Uh, but he's in a group of 6 other CEOs, big time power players of major companies, and they meet every month. They go out for drinks and they sit down and they talk about the latest because they want to be, right? When you're at that level, you need to have high level people around you giving you advice, giving you feedback, giving you mentorship, advising. And what Antonio was just mentioning is the problem with, for many of you guys as pre-meds, is that the people we're looking at and looking to for advisement are not people who are knowledgeable enough in what they're advising you on. They aren't expert enough, and therefore they can't give you effective advice. They can't give you personalized advice. And as we talked about earlier, right, with this recommendation to graduate, we have to be very leery of people giving us advice and be very cool and not cool, very we have to be very diligent, right, and very critical of who we accept advice from. My day was fantastic. Thank you for asking. Laya asked about withdrawals. Okay, so the big W's, right, on the transcripts. How do withdrawals affect your application? So one W is fine, two W's are fine, lots of W's are a problem. A W is better than an F because an F hurts your GPA. A W just looks bad once you meet the initial cutoff. Yes? So we don't want W's, but they're better than F's. And yes, you should take classes that have W's. If you've got a withdrawal, retake that class because that doesn't count for anything. It's nothing. Alejandra, I'm so thankful you said that. She said, I've gotten so much better at studying since taking Dr. Pinesett's 5 Pillars course, even with working full time. I appreciate that, Alejandra. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Guys, if you guys don't know, my 5 Pillars to getting better grades, right? My TST, Total Student Transformation Coaching Program, is bomb, y'all. If you guys want to become great students and want to be successful, come get with us. It's a full system. It's amazing. It'll change you. Rashma says, I want to know how I can improve my GPA. Rewind this video. Watch my other videos. But there's lots of different pathways to improving GPAs. If you guys don't know them, let's review them real quick. All right, you ready? Our GPA is low. What do? Stay at your undergrad. If you've graduated, you've got community college, you've got extension, you've got another university you can enroll in, right? You can go to another university and do undergrad work. You've got special master's programs, you've got master's programs, you've got post-bac programs. So there's lots of options. You have to find the right one for you. Okay, so Manny says, and this is a question I get a lot too. So Manny, I appreciate you asking this question. And if you guys had this question, like the video right now, let me know. Manny says, would a high MCAT score above the 75th percentile range help offset a lower GPA? Would that be better than taking more classes? And I love this question. I hate this question because I get it all the time. So I'm glad you asked it, Manny. But we have to really think about this. And so I encourage all of you guys, right? You guys come on here, right? You come on my YouTube channel because you want advice. You come on my right to Dr. You want advice, right? You get my program because you want advice. But if you guys have ever been tied to one of my programs when we do coaching, I'm always asking questions back to you because what I want my students to develop is independence. So I want my students to be able to take my knowledge, make it their own, and make it so that they can action for themselves. They can think for themselves. And so for you guys, hold on one second. So for you guys, sorry, I thought I heard something right here. So for you guys, as you go through your journey, I want you guys to ask this question to yourself. What's wrong with Manny's question of, hey, would a super high MCAT score make up for a low GPA? What's wrong with that question? What's wrong with that question? What's wrong with that question? What's the flawed logic in that question? What's the flaw in that question? Perfect. I see it right here. The flaw with saying, can a great MCAT score make up for a low GPA is that we have to understand correlation. If you have a low GPA, what does that reflect? We are not our GPA, right? But at the same time, our GPA reflects the current status of our discipline, our time management, our ability to focus, our ability to learn, our ability to take what we learned and apply it on a test. All these skills are what our GPA reveals, okay? So if your GPA is low, would we acknowledge that those skills are low or low-ish, below average, average at best? In addition, right, ultimately, grades, while they don't reflect intelligence, right, while they don't reflect potential, they do reflect our current knowledge of when we took that course. So if I give you a test on cellular biology and you fail said test, that may mean most likely that you have a poor understanding of that knowledge. So your fund of knowledge is weak. Okay? The MCAT is a cumulative exam. It is testing you on the knowledge, the fund of knowledge you should have developed with 4 years of undergrad, and also on the skills you should have developed. So if your GPA is low, what it means is your skills and your fund of knowledge aren't the strongest. Okay? So if that's the case, what do you think your chances are of getting a 90th percentile MCAT score? Does that make sense to everybody? It's lower. So the truth is that when people say, oh, can a high MCAT offset a low GPA? Yes, it can in some ways, but your chances of getting that high MCAT without fixing your fund of knowledge or your study skills is not going to be great. So you're actually better served taking more courses, working on your study skills, building your fund of knowledge, improving your GPA, and that will help you get the great MCAT score. So that's my answer to you, Manny. And I hope we can all see that logic as I walked it through. If that all makes sense to you guys, like the video, throw the thumbs up in the comment. Let me know that made sense. Hold on 1 second, one more time. Hey, Shannon, can I have a water, please? Yeah, so Muhammad says, this is actually, I like this question too. All right, everybody still with me? We're over an hour now. Can we keep going? Can I keep going? Max just asked, how do I improve my attention span? Well, we're about to test y'all attention span because we're over an hour. I want to make sure everybody's still with me right here, right now on this live. Am I talking to myself? Or are we still learning? Should I sign off? I got stuff to do. All right, I see you guys. So Muhammad says, how to prevent a low GPA junior and senior is getting more complex and added to many extracurricular activities. So the question Muhammad is asking, or is pointing to the issue, is he's saying, listen, when you're a junior or a senior and you have a low GPA, it's much more complicated because you have all these extracurriculars that you're trying to work on. And this is a flaw in logic, guys. I know you have to do all these things to get into medical school. But I don't know how the saying goes, but all things in time, and everything has its time. You shouldn't be doing extracurriculars if you aren't getting A's, because nobody's going to read your activity section if your grades aren't where they need to be. So it's imperative that you guys are getting the grades first, then you can turn your attention to extracurriculars. So for many of you guys, it's important that you back up from the extracurriculars and you get the, thank you, girl, that you back up from the extracurriculars. My daughter just brought me water. It's very important you guys back up from the extracurriculars and focus on the GPA first. Then you figure out the extracurriculars later, right? I see a lot of people doing this, like spread themselves too thin. If you're already struggling academically, it's not smart to add on a bunch of extracurriculars, other things you got to do. Everything in time, stepwise. Stepwise. Excuse me while I drink some of this water. Yeah, and I agree with that. Lay off Instagram and TikTok. It also helps with the GPA. A lot of you guys spend a lot of time watching other people study, watching other people live their lives, do all these different things, and you aren't focused on creating action in your own life. You got to do it. Yeah, so Stephanie asks, what can I do if I've taken most, if not all, the relevant upper division bio classes at my undergrad, and I'm still at 150 plus credits, and it seems my GPA is not moving much higher? So Stephanie, you're in that box that we talked about earlier, right? Of when you stack a lot of bad units, it takes a lot of good units to offset it. And for some of us, we run out of classes to take, and so we simply can't get our GPA any higher. If you're at that point, you have to rely then on your upward trend. So if you can put together 2 years of straight A's, you can do well in the MCAT, you can make sure that you round out your application with the rest of your extracurriculars, you'll put yourself in a good position. The other thing, and again, I just did a video on my TikTok, speaking of TikTok, about the problem of Caribbean medical schools. And again, everything's a very nuanced discussion. I have like 3 videos on Caribbean schools on my YouTube channel, y'all. But going to a Caribbean school is not a bad option if 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 you are ready for it and prepared for it. And so if you are a student who's done 4, 5, 6 years of terrible grades, and for whatever reason you're not willing or able to take 4, 5, or 6 years to fix it, maybe you run out of classes, maybe you run out of money, maybe you got fed, whatever's going on, the Caribbean is actually a viable option for you because it is a career reset. Meaning you can go to the Caribbean if you've improved yourself as a student and you're ready to succeed, and you can go to the Caribbean, you can succeed, you can be stellar, you can be excellent, and then you can go through that process, apply, and go to residency and move on with your career and be great. And I've had students go to the Caribbeans and be very successful, but they were ready. They had taken my TST, my 5 pillars. They had learned how to study, and so they were ready to go there and dominate. They understood the pathway of how to be successful outside the classroom in medical school and build the network and build the extracurriculars that make the difference for your residency application. So, Stephanie, if you're in the boat where, man, you've taken a ton of classes, you don't have any more classes you can take, your GPA is still super low, it may be a good time to explore Caribbean medical schools. And there's a couple that are the big dogs. Pick one of those. Don't go to Bob's Caribbean Medical School. Go to one of the major ones. You know what they are. Yeah, so Eric, that's another great question. So Eric asks, if you already applied to graduate, are you still able to stay in undergrad to take more classes and even apply for an additional major? So Eric, if you have not left, if you have not applied to graduate, so if everybody understand this, like you have to fill out a form that says, I'm prepared to graduate. If you have not done that, you can stay at your undergrad university. Even if you get accepted to a graduate program, you don't have to go. So you can stay in undergrad. Another kind of caveat off of that is if you are in a master's program, you can take undergraduate coursework. I mean, it depends on your program if they'll let you do it, but most programs will let you do it. You just have to enroll in those undergrad courses and they'll be filed in the correct area when it comes to AMCAS. So you can do that as well. Rosper says, when can I start taking your courses? Guys, my website is thestudydoc.com. Do not delay, guys. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I'm waiting to learn how to study this summer. Go get into one of my courses, get into one of my coaching programs right this very minute. Start getting better, guys. Right this very minute. Thestudydoc.com, y'all. You're very welcome. I appreciate you stopping through. I'm glad you guys appreciated this. I appreciate all the positive comments in the box right now. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate that. Keeps me going up here when I was dying of thirst. All right, we're gonna do one more question and we're gonna cut it off because we're at 1 hour and 10. An hour and 10 is kind of long for a live, but I appreciate y'all who hung out with me to the end here. You guys enjoying this? Okay, so Zahara asked a great question. When you repair your GPA and become a better student, you've learned how to time manage, you've improved in the sciences. How do you show that in your application besides just the upward trend of grades? And so I love this. So you were a low GPA student. You've worked really hard. You've changed. You become more disciplined. You become more focused. You've gotten all the obstacles, all the barriers, I call them barriers to learning, out of your way so you're a better student. Okay? You've done all the right things. How do you go beyond just showing them the numbers on your transcript? How do you show them? How do you reveal to them that you have improved? How do you show them the layers of your character? And the answer is you do this in your application. And so in my application course, I teach my students application persuasion and persuasive writing and understanding that they're going to write their application in such a way that tells their story, but that's not sufficient because everyone tells their quote unquote story in the application. What you have to do is tell your story persuasively, meaning you are attempting, and successfully at that, persuading them that you are a worthwhile person, that you have great characteristics, that you are highly skilled, highly talented, highly motivated, and highly potentiated. You got lots of potential, and you're going to be incredible, and that they need to have you in their medical school. And so there's an art to that, and there's ways to get at that, but you have to understand that you have to articulate that very well. So if you are a student who has concerning aspects of your application, if your GPA is a concern, it's going to be very important that not only do you fix the GPA, but that you also can effectively narrate that journey and show them how you are a new and better and outstanding performer in the classroom, that you are a new and better and awesome and well-rounded person, and that you are someone they would love and need to have at their university. And you do that through your application and your storytelling, and effective, persuasive storytelling. Okay? Perfect. All right. All right, guys. Whew, hour and 10 minutes. I appreciate y'all. If you guys have enjoyed this stream, this is your first time getting at me, recognize we're going to be live every Wednesday, 5 p.m. doing this. Have you enjoyed this? Is this quality time spent? This over an hour we spent together? If this has been good for you, if you've enjoyed this, take a second, like this video. Take a second, share this with someone. Let them know, hey, Dr. Pinesett's over here dropping gems, spitting knowledge, committing time to us to help us get better, to actualize our future. Share this with someone. Let them know, hey, he's out here. Put this on your social media. Let people know, right? Let's let people know. Let's spread this awareness. Additionally, this is your first time being here. Don't ever miss a Wednesday at 5 p.m. live stream. Don't ever miss my impromptu live streams. Take a second, right? Follow me. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so that way you are always notified, like, dang, Dr. Pinesett's live action right now. Boom, boom, boom. And we can get at it, guys. If you have a topics you want me to talk about, if you have a question, put your question in the comment box below this video. Put your comment on my social media, on my posts. Send me an email. Whatever it is, guys, get at me. Let's get all of your stuff answered. It's about moving you guys forward, being more positive, being more productive, man, being more successful, getting into medical school. So thank you guys so much for being here with me. How do we always end? You see it on the shirt. No excuses, just dominate, guys. I'll see you guys next Wednesday, 5 p.m., y'all. Have a wonderful evening. That's it for another episode of the Study Doc Show. Show your love by smashing the like button and commenting in the box below. Today is the day, guys. No more excuses, no more complaining. You're going to take your future into your own hands. You're going to dominate. You're going to be successful. I challenge you. What are you going to do today to make your life better? Get to my website, thestudydoc.com. Grab a free ebook. Sign up for a free webinar. And if you're really ready to transform, enroll in one of my life-changing courses or coaching programs. You have greatness inside you. Let me show you how to unlock it so you can dominate and make your dreams a reality. No excuses, just dominate.